Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are diving into something really powerful. We're talking about the invisible code that runs in the background of our minds, the programming that dictates so much of our lives. And more importantly, we're going to explore how we can actually get our hands on that code and rewrite our own reality.
I mean, just take a second and really think about this. What if all those limits you feel, all those things you tell yourself you just can't do, what if they aren't solid walls? What if they're just lines of code in a program that you yourself have the power to change?
And that's exactly where beliefs come in. See, a belief isn't some universal, objective fact about the world. It's an internal representation. It's a program that your mind runs and accepts as truth. And this one piece of software controls pretty much everything.
They really are. Think of your beliefs like a filter, or a pair of glasses that you're wearing all the time. They literally change what you see, they determine how you interpret everything that happens to you, and they draw the map of what you think is even possible. They build the world you live in, brick by brick.
We all know this voice, don't we? This is a classic limiting belief. You can almost feel the weight of that statement. It feels so true, so real, and it actively builds a wall between you and whatever it is you want to achieve.
Now just feel the difference here. It's like night and day, right? This is an empowering belief. It doesn't pretend the challenge isn't real, but it completely shifts your internal state. Instead of building walls, it opens doors. It creates possibility where there was none before.
So let's just break this down. A limiting belief basically tells you where the finish line is before you even start the race. It ties your shoelaces together. But an empowering belief, that gives you the fuel to run the race no matter what the track looks like. One traps you, and the other launches you forward.
Okay, but here's a really important distinction. Not all beliefs are created equal. Some are way down deep, at the very foundation of who you are. These are your core beliefs, stuff like I'm not worthy or I am lovable. When you change one of these, man, it's not like changing a single brick. It's like lifting the entire house and pouring a new foundation. The ripple effect is just massive.
Which leads to the big question, doesn't it? If this stuff is so deep, so powerful, formed over our entire lives, are we just stuck with it? Is that it?
And this, right here, is where it gets really exciting. The answer, according to neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, is a huge, resounding no. A belief isn't some permanent fixture of your personality. It's just a program. And any programmer will tell you any program can be debugged, updated, and completely rewritten.
So how does it actually work? Well, NLP is smart. It doesn't waste time trying to argue with your conscious mind, trying to convince you with logic that a belief is wrong. We've all tried that, it almost never works. Instead, it goes straight to the source code, the images in your mind's eye, that specific tone of your inner voice, that sinking feeling in your gut, and it dismantles the whole structure from the inside.
Okay, so that's the what. Let's get to the how. We're going to walk through the actual blueprint for making this change happen.
You know, it's actually a pretty straightforward process when you lay it out. First, you have to identify the belief you want to change. Get specific. Then, you find its positive intention. And believe it or not, almost every belief, even a bad one, thinks it's trying to protect you from something. Next, you consciously choose the new, empowering belief you want to install. Then the fun part, you disrupt the old pattern. And finally, you embed the new one. And I gotta tell you, that disruption step is the absolute key to this whole thing. See, a belief only has power because your brain accepts it as 100% true. The second you introduce a little bit of doubt, the whole structure starts to wobble. You can't install a new operating system while the old one is still running perfectly. You gotta interrupt it first. And these questions, these are the tools you use. They're like little crowbars. They're designed to sneak past the logical mind and just poke holes in the certainty. When you ask yourself, how do I really know that's true? Your brain has to go looking for hard evidence, and a lot of the time it comes back empty-handed. The foundation starts to crack. Now, what about those really stubborn beliefs? The ones that are like bedrock, that have been there forever? For those, you need to call in the special forces. Let's look at something called the double effect technique. And I love this description because it's exactly what it is. This technique doesn't just poke holes in the old belief. It smashes the new, powerful belief right into it, head on, and forces the brain to deal with the wreckage. It's intense. So here's how it works. Step 1. You fully access the feeling of that limiting belief. I mean, you really get it running. You bring up the images, the sounds, the physical sensations, that pit in your stomach, the tension in your shoulders, the whole negative program. And then, at the very same time, while that negative program is running at full tilt, you fire off what's called an anchor for the new empowering belief. An anchor is just a trigger, like touching your thumb and finger together, that you've linked to a powerful, positive state. So you trigger the feeling of being completely capable and confident at the exact same moment.
Can you imagine what happens inside your nervous system? It's pure chaos. The brain literally cannot compute. It cannot hold two completely opposite, powerful truths at the exact same time. It's a neurological paradox. This creates this moment of intense conflict, of confusion. It's like the system crashes.
And out of that crash comes a reboot. Your brain, being the efficient machine it is, has to resolve the paradox. And in that moment, it essentially gets a choice. And it chooses the more powerful, useful, empowering belief. The old neurological pathway for the limiting belief just kind of collapses. It loses its charge. And the new, stronger belief gets installed right in its place.
So what's the bottom line here? It's this. You are not just a passenger in your own mind. You're the programmer. You're sitting at the keyboard. You have the ability to go into your own source code and change the rules that you've been playing by for years. You get to decide what you want to believe.
So I'll leave you with this final, and maybe most important question. Now that you know this is possible, what's the one belief that if you changed it right now would change absolutely everything for you? Which line of code are you going to rewrite first?